Hey there, it's Jim and Debbie with episode 80 of the Midday Minute. We are officially octogenarians, Debbie.
We really are. Gosh, it's hard to
Yeah,
believe.
who would have thought,
Who would have
right? When
thought?
we started this
We
little
look
documentation.
great.
Yeah, right, right. Um, well, hey, we just had some announced some pretty big news at the beginning of this month for the most valuable student scholarship launched, and pretty big change this year, right? We did away with a top six winner model for our leadership weekend, where we invite
Hmm.
20 finalists in the most valuable student competition of 500 would come to Chicago and they would interview for the top six awards. Now, each of them was guaranteed $20,000, but they were interviewing for scholarships, two each at $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000.
Yep.
No more. Starting this year, those we're still going to do the leadership weekend, but all 20 attendees will receive scholarships of $30,000, just one top award for all 20. Big news, right? Well, it begs the obvious question. How is $30,000 better than $50,000? And today on the Midday Minute, we're going to answer that question.
We
So
are.
what do you say we bring in Makenna Cannon, who manages our scholarship programs for us, and let's get into it.
Bring her in. It's good timing to be having this conversation because
Yeah,
fall is in the air. Kids are going off to college.
back to
School is
school.
back. It's kind of chilly here in Chicago. So, hi,
And
McKenna.
everywhere I've been going recently, everybody's asking the same question, and it's what was Makenna Cannon thinking when she made this change?
Why would we do this? It's so exciting.
Right. It is an exciting change. But the obvious question is how is $30,000 better than 50,000? Because we were awarding $50,000. I would like to remind our longtime viewers that if you take yourself back to 2013, we used to award $60,000 to our top winner, and then we went down to 50, and that turned out to be okay also, right? So this change is going to work out well, but we want to kind of get into why we kind of take a deep dive into why we made this change.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Well, I'll start off by saying, I think it's more inclined to what we were trying to accomplish in the first place, which is create a strong scholar network with the folks that are there at the top 20 leadership weekend, right? To build that community amongst the scholars. So
and
that's
that
super important.
right, that's been a long time goal of ours, and we actually wanted to do the leadership weekend uh, before our board did.
Mm.
And for our board, the impetus was incorporating an interview process to help us select those two representatives who were going to, attend convention and be the face of the most valuable student program.
Yeah.
So that we're not just doing it on paper. That was the impetus. But for us, that was an opportunity to run, take the ball and run with it in the direction we wanted to go, which was building this scholar network, which is good for the foundation. As we're the charitable arm of the Elks. We raise money. It's good for us to have invested program recipients who want to talk positively, want to share their experiences that they had with us. It helps us as an organization that has to go out and raise money to do what we do. It's good for the Elks because it's lifting the Elks brand. If we can, if our scholars identify as Elk scholars, everything they want to do, it says an Elk scholar. That helps the Elks. And building that network is really good for the scholars too, because of the positive interactions and the connections that they're making with their fellow scholars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Right?
it really sets us apart, right? Like by offering these opportunities, by building this brand. I mean, we really started doing this, as lots of people remember, in 2008 when we decided we wanted to be more than a check. I mean, we've talked a lot about this, right? But all the different engagement opportunities. Our first leadership weekend was April of 2014. And I think I can speak, at least Jim, for you and I, about how absolutely blown away we were with what transpired in front of our eyes in terms of the camaraderie and the friendships and
And the energy.
fellowships and the energy. Um, and we really saw something with that and kept building from there. But a big part of that, of course, was that interview dynamic that
Well,
was
the
always
interview,
there.
it was the interview from our point of view was a necessary evil. It was the reason we were bringing everybody together so that we could do all these other things we wanted to do.
Right.
But it was a barrier, right? Because students would arrive, and initially there's a lot of angst and a lot of stress because they're arriving as competitors for those top 6 awards.
Right. So even though the relationships are being forged, it's still there.
Right. And even though they're able to forge those relationships through, knowing that they're kind of competing against each other, there is that nerve, like the nervousness that runs through the weekend because the interview component was Saturday morning, right? So it is, you're leading up to an interview that is coming. So they're not engaging sometimes fully or like as organically as they could be because they know that there's some element that they think they're always being judged, I think. So that also doesn't always
there's something big at stake, right?
Yes.
And then I think Makenna, even every year I feel like we would step away and be like, it would be nice to just give everybody an equal amount, to have parity in these awards. And we talked about it for a long time, right? This year in particular, I mean, like this didn't come out of the clear blue sky, but this year in particular, we had several of the finalists, and as a reminder, this was the first time in 4 years that we were actually back in person, right? So these high schoolers also had a very different experience because of the pandemic and whatnot, but handful of the finalists, not only were they very nervous prior to the interviews, there were quite a few that following the interview were just unraveled, like that they felt as if they didn't do as good of a job as they would have hoped. And so that affects participation as well.
So nerves and angst are a barrier, a hurdle that, the scholars would eventually clear and then they participate, right? So at the front end of the weekend, it was sort of blocking people from engaging fully. By the end of the weekend, when we're conducting the interviews, everybody's all in. But at that point, the interviews are a time suck. I mean, it's a whole morning is lost to these blocks of interviews that we could be doing other, engaging the scholars in other ways, building that scholar network, serving together, whatever it is, right? That we couldn't do because of the interview.
Right.
So, we did it for 10 years, right? Few things that that were clear over the years is, in many of those 10 years, many of them, not all, but many, there was a clear winner on one side or the other, maybe on both sides.
Right.
Sometimes, a lot of times, second and third wasn't as clear, but when you got down to selecting the third place winners, it was very much in those judging panels splitting hairs. Like, how are we going to arrive at who's going to get 30 versus 20, which is a 50% increase in that award, right? That's pretty significant. And even this year, we had a student who was trying to decide, I forget the 2 schools. I think one of them was Yale and the other one was also a good school, but not Yale. And it was really going to come down to whether that person, got one of the top 6 or not. So our judges are splitting hairs, and they would deliberate, try to figure out how to parse it, how to select these top 6, because that's the task that we gave them.
It was an unenviable task when you think about what did we have, more than 23,000 apply?
Yes.
Right. Then we have 500 semifinalists, 20 finalists. Like, we're talking about
they're outstanding,
the best of the best.
They're incredible.
Right. They're all incredible. They've all done so much, more than I've done in my life. They've already achieved at 18.
They're 16, 17 years old, coming here, having founded their own nonprofits. They all have done, more service work, than I've ever seen before. And it's like, how do you choose who the best of this already outstanding group is?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people lose sight of that. They understand that college is getting more and more expensive every year, right? So is it a good thing to go from 50 to 30,000? But I think what people don't realize is, there are a lot of scholarship providers out there, and we're all looking for the same type of people. We're looking for outstanding students who are involved, have leadership positions, who serve their communities, and who need help going to college, right? So everybody's sort of looking, and we all have maybe little differences in our rubrics and our, our applications, but we're all kind of fishing from that same pond. Now, this information I'm about to share is a little bit old. It comes from an evaluation of our scholarships from some time ago, but I think it's a safe bet that it hasn't changed much. And that's 63% of our most valuable students receive from 1 to 4 other scholarships, and 30% receive 5 or more. And then there's institutional aid on top of that, and federal aid. And it's the reality is, this is really what I'm going to share with you right now is staggering. From 2011 to 2019, a 9-year period, and we're choosing 2019 because that class would have graduated in May. Of our scholars who received $40,000 or more, 40,000, 50,000, or 60,000, because remember from 2011 to 2013, the top award was 60. Those students left $435,000 on the table. It was money they could not use of ours because they had their scholarships covered by other organizations or by the school or whatever it was. We try to be extremely flexible in working with our scholars, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, that's certainly another thing that sets us apart, is that we are able to be as flexible as we can be within the constraints of tax laws and all that govern scholarships. So
we have scholars, we have top scholars from 8, 10 years ago. We're still reserving some of their funds in hopes that they're going to use it in grad school or medical school or whatever. We're trying to work with them, but that's not really what we signed up for or what they applied for.
Right.
So it's really prestigious for us as an organization and for the Elks, for the membership, to talk about these $50,000 scholarships. But the reality is, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 scholarships weren't that practical because our scholars didn't need them because of all the other aid that they've been getting. Now, our top 6 winners have been using, on average, this is the same period, 2011 to 2019. You want to take a guess how much they've been using? Anybody? Well, you guys probably know, so it's not really a guess. $28,500. $28,500 on average. So at $30,000, that's about what they'll actually use. So what we're trying to do now is redeploying unused funds and instead awarding that money to 14 incredible, worthy, and deserving students who are only receiving $20,000 under the old model. So this change is going to increase the budget of the program only by about $80,000, but we're increasing the guaranteed scholarship by 50%. 14 of those 20 students are going to get 50% additional. Everybody's going to get at least 30, and that's about what they're going to spend in 4 years, according to our data.
That's awesome.
It's a big change all around.
Yeah, and I think lastly, and we know that when we call to notify, and this is a precondition of applying and accepting, is that you have to be willing, if you win, to join us for our convention and represent the program. This the whole point of the leadership weekend, was to have a better idea of who those people are going to be. And increasingly, it's been hard to get people to do that. And they, best faith, they say they can do it, and then things happen. And this year we had both top students, had stuff just happen, internships and jobs and research opportunities and life preventing them from being with us. And, we could revoke that top scholarship and give it to somebody else, but that doesn't seem right.
That doesn't seem right.
And going to the second place students and saying, hey, would you be willing to give up your, 4th of July weekend to come represent? We're not going to compensate. We're not going to give you the first place dollars, but will you do it? That doesn't seem quite right either. It's a difficult ask. But now we're going to have a bench of 20 potential representatives, and we can have our own hierarchy of who we want it to be. But we can work our way through that until we have people who are ready, who are available to join us and at convention and represent and be the face of the program, interact with our donors and with the members, and help us sell the program.
Absolutely.
So cool.
Makenna, what's the response been so far? I know that the annual mailing is just hitting lodge mailboxes right now, but have we heard from our boots on the ground, from the volunteers who help promote and
we
judge?
have. Yeah, we have. So we've had a couple of calls and emails from our volunteers, from our scholarship coordinators with questions about the change, and overwhelmingly a really positive response. Everyone is very excited about this. Like we said, like it's an increase to those top 20, to those other 14. They get more money. The money is going to be used, hopefully in a better way from our top scholars. And it's creating more opportunity for them to engage with each other and to engage, hopefully, more of them at convention with the Elks. So I think it's going to be really awesome, and it's a great switch.
And and think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of the prospective scholarship applicant, and thinking about our award, thinking, well, they're only going to give out 2 of these top awards. Can I possibly win one of these? Now they're giving out 20 of these things. I can win one of those. I only have to be one of the 20 best.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to help us sell the program, attract applicants. I think it's going to be a win for us, the students, and the Elks.
Win-win-win. That's what we like.
Win-win-win.
Exactly. Well, and also, again, win-win-win. The 480 semifinalists will continue to get $4,000. We will continue to offer all of our incredible scholar relations opportunities, from service trips to meetups to service grants to all the other virtual programs, all the really cool things that we do. And we will continue to be flexible, right, Makenna, with making sure we're meeting the needs of our scholars in the best way possible. So whatever that means for them in terms of cost of attendance to get your undergraduate degree, or sometimes into post-secondary school there, that we are able to do that as well.
Yeah.
What else? Is that it?
I can't think of anything else. Those are all great reasons.
Great reasons. We're super excited. So the application launch.
I guess I will say is, like, we're aware that we took away like a talking point. Like our members like to say, and we give out $50,000. That's a big number, right? But 20 at 30 is nothing to sneeze at either. It's a nice talking point. And here's a look forward to what we're thinking. We can't promise it's going to happen next year or the year after, but it's going to happen. We wanted a nice round 30 for 30. We want to work toward having 30 people at that at the leadership weekend, each receiving $30,000 scholarships. So that's what we're working toward. This is the first step, and hopefully in a couple of years we'll be able to take that second step.
That's our new goal.
30 for 30.
30 for 30. Isn't that a show, like an ESPN television show or something? We might have to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look and see what the.
Well, I think the new speaking point that I think all of our members can be super proud of is that there are 20 finalists receiving $30,000, and that we are going to spend more time building that. You said we're going to have a deeper bench. We're building that brand, and we're going to set aside even more time helping these 20 prepare for what comes next for them as they enter college.
So next year's leadership weekend is going to be even better. I'm looking forward to it. It's all exciting stuff.
Makenna, you want to tell us the important dates? I know I was saying that the application opened, August 1st.
It opened August 1st. It'll close November 13th. And then we will open lodge judging. So the judging officially begins on December 1st. And then judging will happen throughout the country up and through March. And we will have our 500 winners and our top 20 at that point, at the end of March, for our in-person in Chicago leadership weekend, April 11th through the 14th of 2024. So it's coming up so fast. It's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah.
It does feel like it happens like that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, Makenna, thanks so much for joining us and talking with us about this change.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited. It's going to be great.
Next up,
congratulations on your. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're just stepping on my lines. I said, next up, we're going to turn the hoop shoot into a slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big change.
And I was going to say congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
All right. We'll see you, Makenna.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Sorry for stepping on your lines.
What'd you say?
Sorry for stepping on your lines.
Oh, no, that's all right. So there you go. Big change. Anything else coming down the pike that we want to talk about before next month?
Well, heck yeah. Legacy Awards. That contest opens on September 1st. So get ready.
350 scholarships of $4,000 each.
For the children and grandchildren of dues-paying Elks members. So spread that news far and wide, everybody.
All right. Well, if you've enjoyed this deep dive of an episode, give us a thumbs up. Otherwise, thumbs down. Either way, share it far and wide so everybody can understand the thinking behind our recent MDS decision. So exciting. If you're not already subscribing to our YouTube channel, why don't you do that right now? It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. And while you're at it, tap that bell so you'll be notified every time we post new content. Like right now, the Future Looks Like series is back. From those, these were all filmed in April during our in-person leadership weekend. And they're airing, I think, once a week, right?
They're airing once a week, and talk about some insight into like how incredible each of them are. Like, watch those. You will be blown away.
Right. And there's more where those are coming from. So enjoy those. Debbie and I will be back next month with another exciting edition of the Midday Minute. Until then, thanks so much for watching.
Bye, everybody.